I want to play a short clip from my movie America, in which I posed a question to Charmaine Whiteface, the one of the leaders of the Sioux tribe. Listen.
What are the words that come to mind when you hear the phrase Christopher Columbus?
A lost sailor.
Who was looking for my country, not yours.
Yes.
Yeah, but you wish he didn't come.
I wish he didn't come.
She wishes he never came. So I want now to ask that question. What if Columbus never came? Or you can ask the question in a more radical form that I did in that movie. What if America didn't even exist? What if there was no physical landmass called America? Would the world be better today? No, I don't think so. Now, what would happen to the Native Americans in this country if Columbus never came? Now, one argument is, well, all the stuff that the white man brought, from penicillin, modern medicine, the technology to build buildings, the space program, the Native Americans would obviously have developed all that. Well, I don't think so. I don't think they would have developed it any more than the Asian Indians would have on their own brought the things that the British brought to India. Now, the British didn't bring them out of goodwill. They brought them out of the desire to rule and dominate India, but they brought them nevertheless. And so, interestingly, when the British left, the Indians didn't get rid of all those things. They could have. They could have said, listen, let's pull down all these buildings, these Victorian structures, Churchgate Station right in the middle of Bombay. Let's get rid of it. British brought us all these, hot suits, not really well suited to the climate. We don't need to wear ties. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's get rid of courts and democracy and elections and separation of powers and human rights. We don't need any of it. But the Indians decided, no, let's actually keep, I would say, most of it. Yeah, sure, we're going to take Bombay and start calling it Mumbai. We're going to take Bangalore and call it Bengaluru. But even notice that even there, the names are so similar to the original name, so nobody gets confused. So here's the point. The point is this, that the Native Americans, as Mario Vargas Llosa said, lived in the enchanted world. The whole method of using reason to solve problems, the scientific method, the method of discovery, all of this was alien to the Native American tribes and alien to many other people around the world. So the question is this really a practical vision today? Because people say, well, the world before Columbus was such a paradise. And my point is, if it was such a paradise, why don't you recreate it? Why don't you can have it now. I mean, there are Indian reservations all over the country. You could actually decide, well, listen, you know what? Let's go back to living out of the pages of National Geographic. I mean, who needs cars? Who needs electricity? Who needs modern medicine? Who needs casinos? Who needs cheeseburgers? Let's just get on a horse and go look for food. By the way, this little riff here about the horse, even that doesn't really work. You know why? The American Indians had no horses. There were no horses in the Americas. The Spanish brought the horse to the Americas. So even the horse, the famous Indian movies, all these Indians are riding horses. Yeah, they got that from the West also. So the point I'm trying to make is that you can't bring the old world back. It's almost like saying, I want to live like a frog. You can't live like a frog. We're human beings. You can't live as if we're not in the 21st century. And the truth of the matter is, if Columbus didn't discover America, who would have probably? The Chinese. They discover America. So which is better, to have been ruled by the Western civilization, which along with oppression, remember, there was a conquest ethic even in the West, as there was worldwide, but the West also brought an ethic of freedom, an ethic of liberation, an ethic of human rights. And if the Chinese did it, if the Chinese came to the Americas, we wouldn't have that, as we see in countries ruled by China. Look what's happening to Hong Kong today. Look what they would like to do to Taiwan. So, you know what? I like National Geographic. It's kind of fun for me to thumb through the pages. But I don't want to live in the pages of National Geographic. And you know what? Neither does anyone else. All these leftists, oh, Columbus was horrible. They don't realize not just their lifestyle, not just their cheeseburgers and their cell phones, but their very existence. Think of all the Latino people here who are mestizo people. The entire population of Mexico is a mestizo culture created by a mixture of the Spanish and the Indians. No Columbus, you know what? You wouldn't exist. So let's have a little bit of realism in this case against Columbus. He was in many respects a man of his time, but he was also a great man, a man of indomitable will. He could easily have taken a country estate and said, listen, I got to America, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to be a lord, call me Lord Columbus. No, he did a second voyage, and a third, and a fourth. Why? Because at heart, he loved the idea of adventure, of discovery, of, with all its hardships, the open sea. He was a man cut from a completely different cloth, of far superior qualities, you might say, than many of the miserable critics who deplore him now.